Welcome back, everybody, to the very first episode of RR After Dark, sponsored by Chapman Environmental Services. This is the official podcast of the iRacing League Racing Revolution. I am your host, as always, Nick Alves, driver number 24, Coastal Financial, now Ford Mustang. And joining me today would be.
Yeah, I'm Justice Murphy, driver of the number 12 All About Bugs Chevrolet Camaro and team owner for BDE Motorsports.
I'm Michael Bennett, driver of the number 14 SlurpSodas.com Ford Mustang, member of Performance Motorsports.
And I'm Trevor Earhart, driver of the number 41 Earhart Homes Ford Mustang, and I'm owner of Tire Slayer Racing. And since I was the last one to introduce myself, I'm going to be the first one to introduce you to the topics. And I think we're going to start off with the off season that we had, boys. Get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so we actually kicked off the off season kind of RR like, I guess you can say, because the first couple of seasons we went back to back to back for our first two seasons, I guess you can say. So now our third, and it's gonna be our longest, and it's gonna be the most official season, I guess you can say, since we're following the actual NASCAR schedule. So we had a nice little winter break. I think I screwed up my intro because I didn't say what my team was, so everyone probably thinks I'm a free agent. But I am also with Michael Bennett with Performance Motorsports. I am the owner, co-owner, because we're all four of us are owners of this team. We're all perfect individuals. Really quick, it's Alex Fougette Berube, Matthew Robinson, and then obviously Michael Bennett, myself, blah 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 blah. But anyway, so yes, we're gonna get into a lot of things here. It's gonna be teams, the new schedule that we're doing, a couple of different things in the rules that we changed, and anything else I'm forgetting, boys?
The Clash.
Uh, the
Uh,
Clash,
Oh,
new
that's right. We
bodies
already
on
had
a
one.
couple of
We
the
already had one
cars.
race. Whoops. Oh
And
yeah,
the
that's a
broadcast.
big one to talk about.
Yeah, broadcast
new
news.
broadcast team, yep.
That's
New
right.
points format.
All right. So you guys want to kick off with one of the topics then? Anybody who wants to go
I
first?
say kick started with how was the off season? Did we enjoy that? And
Much
I know,
needed.
yeah, much needed. I think I said that quite a bit. We had raced something like 70 something weeks in a row. The only breaks we had was if we took them or we had some buys built in last year. So, yeah, very needed off season. A lot of movement. I think that's going to be the fun part, but we can probably dive a little more into that. Some of the team movement is kind of the first thing.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
no, back to Justice's point, that off season much needed. I know for a lot of drivers, especially with the way some of our seasons ended, it was just nice taking a break there. And I gotta say, like, when we kicked it back off a couple weeks ago with some just exhibition races to get some guys in uh, that needed to be vetted for this season, it was just refreshing. It felt like to get back in the car, and then the turnout from all the guys. That I mean, 'cause we really didn't do anything as a league for a month, almost month and a half, and everybody just was like, "Oh, hey, it's go time!" Like everybody showed up, so I think everybody's excited for the season to really get started this coming week.
Yeah, I don't
I
think we
think it.
actually. I don't think we actually like started like recruiting for the Cup Series until like 3 weeks ago. So we had like 7 weeks of just screwing
Nothing.
around of nothing, and just the guys. Literally, the Discord wasn't quiet. Like everyone just kept talking to each other, and um and I think everyone was just itching to get back in the car, and now we have like a record 50 plus guys in the league that is unprecedented for ourselves.
I wish it would have been a little bit shorter. I think it hurt some people who were having good seasons, and then just to take a cold break, um, come back, and you got to completely reacquaint yourself with the car.
You talking about
So,
anybody in particular
me,
about that?
Yeah.
me.
Very much so.
That
Yeah.
sounded very personal.
Yeah, yeah. Cause I don't do a lot of official stuff with the other league now, and then we're gonna be doing Mondays, which we'll get into. Um,
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's yeah, it's
forgot
gonna
about
be like I race enough with you guys, so I don't do a lot of officials. So when we don't have a race, I don't race. I play Rocket League or start Rocket League tournaments in the our Discord and shit.
Yeah, I think that's something else too, right?
Oh, that
We
was the
saw
other
in the off season was you had I would say we probably had 3 weeks of fairly quietness in the Discord just immediately following the season. It seemed like it kind of went quiet. Even the admin, as funny as this sounds, I mean, we all still talk to each other, but it was. I think at one point Rob just pinged an admin chat, goes, "Are we all still here?" Because it had been like 6 or 8 days since anything was said in
Yeah,
there.
it
So
was like right around Christmas. He's like, "Hey,
yeah,
Merry Christmas, guys."
yeah. I mean, but we didn't really want to keep battling through some of the stuff. We all needed a little break to, I think, mentally refocus. And it's kind of, when you look at all the changes that have happened in the last few weeks, I think we did a good job of teasing things to the guys in the league and making them really anxious to get back out there.
I think, looking back at it, and Bennett touched on it for a split second, but there wasn't really anything, and then all of a sudden there was like, hey, let's do a Rocket League tournament with the league. Like, let's just have a random Rocket League tournament, see what happens. And there was some interest from guys. Within the day came of it, and just like 30 guys showed up in the Discord, like guys that weren't even playing just to watch and hang out. And that was really cool. And then, of course, the 24 hours of Daytona. I think we had what, 4 teams?
Yeah,
Four
four.
official
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
So I mean,
One
there
team
were
much shittier than the others.
look, we're not going to talk about it, but you know, I think that was the real start of the season for everybody. It was like, okay, let's get with the guys, 24 hours, and then we go into the recruiting, which I don't even think we were really recruiting, but my God, it felt like there for those 3 weeks that we ran those races, we picked up 2 or 3 guys a night. It felt like.
Yeah, it was more so like get like it sounds cliche to say, but like get your feet wet again, like in the car,
Yeah.
right? To just get going again. And it's kind of funny where like obviously you guys touched upon it, like the non-racing stuff that we did. Obviously the 24 is racing, but it's different what we were doing. But like the Rocket League tournament, it was like you said, like 30 guys showed up in the Discord. It was like, whoa, like it just goes to show like how much everyone likes being here, not only for racing, but they just like the people that are here and hang out to have a good time. And that just shows like we have I know we talked about this last season on the podcast about us going to Charlotte as like a trip for Racing Revolution. We do have like 20 plus guys sharing an Airbnb together, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. And everyone just likes everybody here, and that shows. But I will say for myself, and other people included, the off season was a nice little break to say, hey, let cool heads prevail with some people that may have irked you throughout the season. But right when we had the Clash Wednesday, like I remember why I didn't like you that much.
And some guys went ahead and pressed those buttons right off the rip, just
Yeah.
seeing how much they could use up in an exhibition race. That was what made me question it. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, is that a record for how many penalties were handed out after one single race?
it's probably up
Four.
there.
it's
Yeah,
probably
Yeah.
close
I
to it.
see
it's
five.
there's
Five different
five guys
individuals.
got penalized.
Yeah,
I
assessed to at
I
least an
do want to
0-1.
touch upon one person that I think towards the end of last season you saw flashes of how good and better he was getting at racing, and then the few recruitment races that we did, and then you saw it again, like wow, he must have been doing a lot of practice on his own or something, and he came in and he was doing really good. So before going into anything about this season, I am putting it in the books right now, and if he proves me wrong, I'll be really disappointed. But Tay McDonald is gonna be a multi-winner this year, and he'll make the final 8. I'm calling it right now.
I can see
Are,
that.
are we making bold predictions right now?
I'm just putting it
Yeah.
out there because
I
I
can
don't
see
I
want
that.
to
can
go
throw
halfway through the
I can throw
season and
one bold
say it, but
prediction
I'm
out.
saying it right now.
I'm gonna throw two bold predictions out. If
Yeah,
that's where
yeah,
we're headed,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Hey, go, yeah,
that's where we're
yeah.
headed, right?
Let's do it.
So, bold prediction number one is there is going to be a team that beats EXR. which we'll get to why that may happen. New points format that may make it a little tighter battle. But my second bold prediction is that we're going to see Grant Turner make the playoffs.
Oh,
If
With
we're
the
just throwing,
with the horseshoe he
bold.
has up his ass right
Dude,
I
now,
mean,
yeah.
I'm telling you.
yeah, I mean, he's going to have 5 opportunities at super speedways before the playoffs.
Jesus.
No, he'll only have 4 because they moved one to the playoffs. So yeah, he'll have 4. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have opportunity.
I like it. My bold prediction is that there will not be a dominant road course winner this season.
That's
I don't think
the
we'll see-
boldest prediction we've had so far.
Well, okay, you think back to last season, right? It was pretty much one guy won all the road courses. I don't think you're going to have that again this year. And then I'm going to go out for my limb of drivers. And I'm going to say,
You looking at the list?
yeah, because I was
I can see.
debating.
I can see your eyes.
I was debating. I'm going to say Chris Nail gets at least one win this season. I don't know where, but Chris Nail. And on that, I'm going to say Tyler Harrison and Chris Nail both going to win this season.
I was gonna say
Both of
if
those
you're gonna
That's not that-
pick
that's
if you're gonna
not that
pick where,
bold.
that's a very bold
I
prediction.
feel like that's not bold.
That's not that bold.
I mean,
Harrison's
both of
been
those
quick.
guys have
Nail's
speed.
been quick
Yeah.
in the few races we've run, like recruiting and verifying.
Those are my
I
picks.
got one more before Bennett goes because I don't want him to steal this if he's thinking about it. My bold prediction is Alex finally gets it done at Dover.
Not a chance.
That's the boldest prediction I've heard.
That's not that bold.
You sure,
I
Bennett?
mean,
'Cause you've been in the barrels or sped 2
the
years in a row.
boldest comment is that you think we're going to come into this season, which now let's talk about the road course guys, right? So you got 2 of them in here, right, with you and Justice. I'm working on it. I'm getting up there. Burns, and
Jacob
then
is
Jacob. You
sneaky
got
quick
Parker
with
sometimes.
Rob.
Rob, like all those guys. How much practice have you personally put in to get better at a road course since last season?
I'm not gonna.
Okay, we know.
confess
You don't have to perjure yourself. That's fine. You
I
put
put
none
in
in.
some work.
I
Oh, no,
put
that's
none
that's a
in.
lie.
Justice has put none in. Okay, I would be shocked if you were to go through any of those lists, guys. And I'm sorry if I'm forgetting a couple of the good road course guys, but I would be shocked if you were to go through that list and to say that anybody has put in any time to try and beat Burns. I think Burns comes back out, and how many road courses we racing this year? 6, 5 or 6. I guarantee Burns still wins
5.
80% of them.
Coda.
I think a bold
Chicago.
prediction would be if he only won 80% of them.
If Coda,
Sonoma.
it'll go Coda,
But-
Sonoma, Chicago, the Glen, and the
That's it.
Roval.
No, I
And
didn't think is the
well, the
Roval
Roval's
still
in the
I don't think
playoffs,
the
so-
Roval out of
Roval's
it.
No.
Oh,
the
I guess,
Roval's
yeah,
still
just-
there.
Yeah, so okay, so 5. So
the Glen,
it would be
the Glen is also in the playoffs now.
It's 2
So how many
road
ra-
courses
hold on.
in back to back.
so we only have
2
so
road
we only have
course, 2
3 road
supers.
courses
You have 4 road courses.
in the regular season or all together.
3.
3 in the regular season. There's 2 in the playoffs. They did not dismiss the Roval. The Roval is still the round
Jesus
of 12 cutoff race.
Oh, you're right. I thought they got rid of it for some reason. I thought they went back to the
The
oval.
Glen's in
we
the round of
just-
16, and the Roval's in the round of 12.
Yeah, the Roval's the cutoff race.
Yeah, there's 5. There's 5 total races. 2 are in the playoffs. Okay, so bold prediction. Here's a bold prediction: is that Jeremy only wins 60% of them. That would mean us
3.
doing 1 win better than we did as a league against him last year. I don't have any other bold predictions. I don't know.
No,
We're gonna see.
s-
Here's a bold prediction: we're gonna see a rookie driver make it to the Elite Eight.
Who?
Any of it?
You had
where-
you had
Burns,
2 of them last year,
rookies.
right?
Yeah. What?
No,
Oh, we
no,
had- well, we
no,
had-
No,
no,
they both
both
missed. They
both
the
missed.
round of
Missed it.
8. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
you're gonna have a true rookie get into
Do
the
we
Elite Eight
have
this
do we
year.
have that list somewhere? Don't we?
We have a fuck ton of people
The
that just
rookie
joined this
list?
league.
Yeah. Do we
It's
have
in the
those?
announcements,
Oh, okay,
cup announcements
that's what it is.
on 128.
Wow, that's a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know what's funny? Out of that list, we really only know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's only
There's
two real
10.
known, 3, 4 known quantities.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys on here where like we don't know what we're gonna get, but obviously, they're gonna have speed. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting. The other thing we can touch upon really quick, since we're talking about the going into a new season, is that since we do have 50 plus guys, that the chances of some full-time members not making a race is really real. Because the first few races here, obviously, we're guaranteeing the top 25 to make um the first three races, the top 25 from last season, obviously. And then everyone else has to race their way in, and it starts at the duels at Daytona, and it's gonna be interesting because unlike any like mile and a half short track, like anybody, anytime can go from 10th to first or first to 10th in a split second like that. Anybody can win. You don't know, so it's gonna be real interesting. The actually the first two races, I guess you can say, with who's gonna get in, because at Atlanta we don't have a qualifying race. You just do regular qualifying, and the the it's gonna be like hundreds or thousands of seconds that could determine who's in and who's out for that race. It's gonna be disappointing for a few guys, which is gonna suck, but it's good for us because it shows how many guys want to be here.
Bring back 43 car fields, man.
Yeah, we still would maybe be
No,
kicking
we'd
people.
still be
That's the
sending
crazy
like
part.
5 or 6 guys home. I think it's crazy the amount
Well,
of turnout that we have.
well, and this year we went up how many teams? Well, we had
Oh, we
6
went
last
from
We're
year,
at
6
9
teams. We have
right now.
9 full teams right now.
Yeah,
9 full teams.
yeah. We'll
Yeah, we added what? Inferno, Land and Sea,
Roar.
So
Roar,
total right now
and
we
then
have so we're just gonna run down the list really quick. So we have Element X Racing, who are returning with all of their previous members from last season. Performance Motorsports, who are also returning with all their previous members from last season. Then every other team is different from last year. So you got BDE Motorsports. They added TK and Daniel Holloway, also returning is Justice Murphy and Jacob Sirkovich. You got One More Time Racing with Kevin Orlando Jr., Tyler Harrison, Chris Snail, Carter Linz. Then TriStar Motorsports with Grant Thorpe, Jackson Lomax, Blake Cook.
That one's not accurate.
Oh, never mind. So TriStar Motorsports, the owner is Grant
Yeah.
and admin. That's what I'll say is accurate. And then Blake Cook being in there as well.
Peyton should be on that team too.
Yeah. Peyton and the new
Yeah, it
Jackson.
hasn't. We didn't update it then on that list.
It should be Peyton then Jackson. That
Okay.
should be his fourth.
New Jackson.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then we have Tire Slayer Racing, excuse me, with Trevor, Parker, James Loveland, Dustin Renstuttle.
Right.
I'm gonna get
Yeah.
them. Sorry, Dustin, if I butcher that name. Who Trevor actually stole Dustin from Performance because he was an honorary member at one point.
You can thank
Landon
your teammate for that, by the way.
Landon CE Racing with Chad Lancaster, Casey Gross, John Fike, and then Brandon Richardson if he actually does show up
He
this
ever
year.
shows up.
Let's yeah.
Let's not get into that one,
Then
dude.
then you got
Mm.
Inferno Motorsports with Christopher Schaefer, Nicholas
The new team.
Schell, Michael Call, and then Cameron King. And then lastly, the full-time teams, the official teams that will be participating team points is Sam Taylor, Dylan Pickelschmeyer, Al Likens, and then Daryl Johnson. And Dylan, if I butchered your name, if you're watching this, I apologize.
Picklesheimer. I'm pretty sure.
Pickelsheimer, thank you.
Let's
Yes.
say the I is definitely after the M here, or before the M.
I think you
I'm
put a
from
H
I'm
in
from
there
Boston.
somewhere.
We don't pronounce words the way that normal people pronounce. You guys will understand that. I mean, everyone already understands that. So, but yeah, no. Oh, and then team points. Justice, you want to go into that because we actually stole
Yeah,
that,
I
I guess
guess.
you can
Yeah,
say.
we stole that. That was so we talk about the long off season and taking the time off, and the four of us idiots in here. decided to try to go run a Gen 4 league, which did
Was
not
far
work
better
out.
than what
It was,
was.
yeah, if I wanted to pace, I could have went and done that in officials.
I think the
But
only
we
good
did,
race was Daytona.
yeah, we did
Yeah.
steal some ideas from them out of their rule book, and one of them was this team point format. So for this season, each race, the teams will be awarded points from 10 to 1 in descending order in the order they finish. So first place will get 10 points, second will get 9, so on and so forth. The way that'll work is you'll take the top 3 point scorers from each team in the race, add their points total up, and whoever's at the highest total is the first place team in that race. Most likely allows for a little, a little more competitiveness to EXR from the other teams, because otherwise you could have EXR in some races gap you by 90 points, and then they're not going to turn around and have a bad enough race for you to gain 90 back on them. It's just not as likely. Whereas if they're the number 1 team in this race, it's very likely they're the number 3 team in the next race, right? If a couple teams have a good run. So just wanted to try to create a closer team battle, not let anybody just check out and kind of run away with it. Just make it more intriguing.
Yeah, actually, one other thing that we actually took from that Gen 4 League is a new rule for incidents, or should I say cautions. So, what we did was we now have a limit of the number of incidents that you can receive. I keep saying incidents, but if you are deemed to be at fault for a caution, that is, you'll get a mark, and then once you get to X amount of numbers of those cautions that you deem to be at fault, will actually start handing out penalties, and then as they increase, the penalties get harsher and harsher. It This is to kind of be like, hey man, like, you're an aggressive driver. We don't really like to have cautions, especially like when there's a caution, it's sometimes, very rarely is it just you that's involved in it. So if you cause something, you're causing harm to another driver who is just an innocent bystander. Like, take Mike Bennett for an instance. Like, we were in a league race yesterday, and the poor guy gets caught up in 2 cautions that's not even his own fault, and he ends up not even making the main race because of it. So it's kind of like putting punishment almost on a guy that is deemed at fault. So kind of policing guys to be like, hey man, like, you're going into this corner. Do I really want to take it 4 wide? Do I really want to shove my nose in there and then be deemed at fault for something? And it's it just kind of polices its own, I guess you can say.
Trevor's gonna be upset this year.
Brother.
Which
We
one?
when we implemented the at fault thing, because we kind of had a thing toward the end of last season that was kind of similar to that. I think I was only at fault for like one there toward the end of the season. Now, did I have a rough start to last season? You're absolutely right. All
Yeah,
right.
did 90% of your bullshit start in the first half of the season? Yes.
The
Did you get
first 3
penalized for any
races
of it?
were rough for
No.
me.
So
And then I never got to live it down.
we're
Has it
If
making
hit
we're
we
making
statute of
fun of Trevor
limitations?
for these incidents, but when we come back, and I'm gonna reiterate, like, if you're deemed to be at fault, almost 50% of the cautions that happen in our league, it's deemed a racing incident. We don't really see guys at fault for doing, because you have to be doing something stupid to be cause that fall or something, because like there's Netco, like they're just hard racing for the win or for a position. It happens, like stuff like that. But Trevor, yeah, he had a bad
Hey,
rough to the
my
start
most
of last
famous
season.
incident I was involved in last season wasn't even my fault. And I'm just gonna
Uh,
leave it at that.
All
oh,
right. So
okay,
anyway,
okay, we're gonna not even talk about that.
yeah. So I did kind of bury the lead, I guess, there on how we would be crowning the team champion, which is probably the most interesting part of the format change. So at the end of the regular season, the top 8 teams will make the team playoffs. We will then determine that via a bracket style champion. So the number 1 ranked team at the end of the season will face the number 8 ranked team in round 1 of the playoffs. Then the points will be awarded the same way at the end of the round. Team with the highest points total advances to the next round. This allows us to crown the team champion at Martinsville. as the final two will face each other in the third round of the playoffs there. So we'll crown the team champion at Martinsville, and then it'll let us have Phoenix as its own fanfare with the individual champion.
Yeah, it negates any silliness at Phoenix with team points and actual individual championship, which is something that we really wanted to emphasize, that nothing silly happens just because four guys are competing against each other for a team point championship. So another thing that we can touch upon, obviously, this is the podcast. It goes live. You guys listen to it on Apple Podcasts and sometimes Spotify, right? Or YouTube if you guys are watching the video. Um, Another thing that you guys will be now watching on YouTube is a different link for our Wednesdays night league, where we are now changing broadcasters. We are now with VSpeed. You can find them on VSpeed. They have a Facebook, they have a Twitter, YouTube. We'll make sure we post the link like we always do for the broadcast. Sorry, I dropped the ball on that on Wednesday. I forgot to post the link, but luckily enough, a bunch of other guys, drivers, posted the link on their own individual profiles. So that's nice, and also the hardcore fans that watch us already knew where to go, so that was great. But yeah, so we're making the transition to a new broadcaster. I think the relationship so far has been really good, very positive so far. They're very interactive with us so far, and they want to make sure that everything is right. And we, they give us the most that they can get out of our league, and obviously vice versa. Like communication is really great, so we make sure they get everything that they need from us. So that's a little bit about them and our relationship so far. It's only been one race, but so far it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice to have them back. I think I was the only one who was around um, the first time V Speed was a thing. Were you? Oh yeah, Nick, you were there. So Nick and I were in a different league, kind of. And we've touched on this in previous podcasts. The league that we came from before, it was originally broadcasted by V Speed, um, and then of course everything went its separate ways. And you know, I don't think there's any hard feelings toward our previous broadcast company. There was a falling out between us and Simtrex, and you know we all go through things, and I don't know, and I don't want to speculate or say anything, but it just in that moment things happened. It's business, right? Things
I
are
was
going to
gonna say, at the end
happen.
of the day, it is business. Even though
Yeah,
we do it for fun, at the end of the day, this is still a business style that we have to
I think
follow.
if we'd have been filing for a divorce, it would have just been listed as irreconcilable differences.
yeah, and
Um,
you know,
that's about as far as I'd be willing to dip into it without
yeah,
getting crazy.
at the end of the day, it was a business decision on both ends. And right now, like Nick said, it's been a really good start to the season. I think the racing, uh, for what it was at the Coliseum, I mean, we all know the Coliseum, the Clash, it's going to be wild. But I think the battling for the transfer spots was great. The end of the main event. I mean, regardless of what happened. We'll get to that when we get to that. It put on a great finish, and I think that they caught everything that needed to be caught.
Yeah.
The day after the race, we were at 210 views, which is fantastic.
We're at like
So
240 the last I looked at it.
Yeah,
yeah,
we had the most views from all their leagues in the past 5 days that I looked at so far, which is cool. But to touch upon, keep on the subject of the broadcast before we move on to the Clash, because there's lot to talk about with the Clash. So we have big news. Actually, two things we're gonna touch upon really quick. I should say three, sorry. So first one is that we are starting a Monday night truck series league that we are already recruiting for, and that actual will kick off on April 8th, I believe. It'll be a quick 10 race first season, then we'll kick into a longer season. Second thing to talk about is a big congratulations to Michael Bennett, who is now an official admin of the Truck Series League on Monday night. Michael Bennett, let's go, Michael Bennett. And then, sorry. Calm down, everybody, calm down. Family friendly, family friendly.
To also touch on it, because there's more than just me. Also,
There
Trevor
is
Keith will be joining us,
TK,
and Caleb Gilbert.
Caleb
So,
Gilbert, the
as
ex.
big a claps for them.
Yeah, so TK, so actually really quick before we talk about the other thing, me and Grant Thorpe are now being the main admins for the Truck Series League, and we came to the decision of can't really have two admins for a series. Like for the Cup Series, we have 6, and it's just the right number for all the duties that are needed. So we came to the decision of seeing who else do we think is going to be a real good fit to be an admin, and we had 4 names. I'm not going to say the fourth name, and that was not picked just because he had other obligations he had to abide by, so it was unfortunate. But the other 3 names were obviously Michael Bennett, um, Trevor Keith, and then Caleb Gilbert, and we came to the decision that all 3 have really shown themselves as professional, as individuals, and shown that they love this league and that they're very level-headed to take on the duties that it takes to be an admin. And then the other news that we can say, not only are we starting a Monday Night Truck League, but we have 2 guys in here right now that are going to be taking the lead on something. If one of you guys can
I
announce
can
that.
I can spill a little on that,
There you
Trevor,
go.
and then you can follow me up if you
Go
want.
for
So
it.
yeah, I think this kind of goes into the irreconcilable differences thing, right? Um, because that's where good ideas always come from, right? Is your kind of low spots, things that happen. So when it came kind of to our attention as an admin team that we were going to be in the search for a broadcaster, Rob and I probably, I don't know, in December, kicked an idea back and forth about should we start our own broadcasting company, do it ourselves, something like that. And then it was pretty quick. Hey, we can't do that on Wednesday, but we liked the exploration of the idea. Brought it to the rest of the admin team, and they kind of were like head on for it. And so then it was, what do we do with it? Well, we've kicked around a Monday Night League this whole time, like a Monday Night Series, making it its own separate thing. And it was just one of those things where I think a lot of times you need backing from all 6 of us as the core admin to really make that work. And I think in a couple of situations, it was kind of there was 2 pushing for it, and the other 4 were not real hands on with making it happen. Well, this time there was a whole goal to it. It was make this series its own thing, and let's do this broadcasting thing. And so it was we were able to go, hey, Kevin, you're going to do the design for the broadcasting program we need. Rob, you want to do production, you're going to do production. Trevor and I will help kind of get Grant and Nick set up until they get their admin in place. And we'll kind of direct towards them, hey, you need this done. Um, and so everybody's met those expectations. Now we're to the point where Grant and Nick have their guys. So now they're pushing out all the administrative duties to each other. What do they need to do? Kevin's working, Rob's working on all the things for ATVO, which is the broadcasting software. Trevor and I are now looking at, hey, we need to get in because we're going to be the voices in the booth on Mondays. So we need to get in. Let's go in. Let's do some practices. Let's learn where do you stop? Where do I start? Where do I stop and where do you start? Kind of deal. Because we want to make that as seamless as possible. Part of the whole thing is we need to be able to go to people when we're ready to say start a Thursday series and let's go find talent based off of the broadcast put on. Hey, we're putting on this kind of broadcast. This is what we're willing to pay. All you have to do is come in and be the commentator and the color guy, and that's all you have to do. The rest of it's for you. It's already there. So Just exploring those options was kind of what kickstarted it. And I would say, and Nick, Trevor, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I would say this is the furthest that we've kicked the can down the road on any Monday night series.
Yeah, it's I mean, we had the Monday Night GT series, which was about 6 guys for about 2 races. And then it just kind of died off. We did some fun events throughout last season, but they never took off. But the interest for the truck series is really, I think, where the whole idea came from, because a lot of guys love the trucks, and I think it's going to be really good. And again, for us, we want to grow as the admin. I mean, we want to grow the brand. We think we have a really great group of guys in the league on Wednesday nights, and we want to branch out and get guys more exposure. Um, who the trucks might suit some guys better than the next gen cars do, and we want to get those guys exposure who want to get out there and race. And you know, Kevin is a really good media guy when it comes to editing stuff and getting stuff figured out. Rob's going to be a great production guy because he's an IT guy. And Justice and I in the booth, I think will be a really good combination with our personalities and kind of the experience that I have working for Freaky Fest. And I got to give Robert Moyer over there a shout out because he helped Kevin and Rob get started with the ATVO stuff for us to
Huge
get that.
shout to that guy.
Yeah,
Constantly in our group message. What do
Yeah.
y'all need? What can I help you with? Constantly.
So huge shout out to him, and it's gonna be fun. I mean, it's gonna be like anything when you get started. It's gonna hit its speed bumps, but I think it's gonna be fun. I think the admin team that Nick and Grant have put together with Bennett, TK, and Caleb is gonna be great. So I'm excited for it. I know we got a couple of recruitment races coming up that Justice we probably need to get with Rob and use
Mhm.
those as practice runs to get things going. But
Absolutely.
it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And we have other ideas for media for the league that we're tossing around out there, like a potential for radioactive. I know that's been kicked around by the admin. We're really interested in that. It's just figuring out how we're gonna do that. Um, so I mean, there's big things coming that we're trying to get done. It's going to take a little bit of time for those things to happen, but the outlook for this year, I think is really treading upwards for the league as a whole.
I
Yeah.
think just real quick, Nick, and then you can go. I think the point of building the brand is the biggest part, and there was one thing in particular because we delayed announcing it. We had some deadlines we wanted to meet to announce it. We ended up kind of hitting ahead of that deadline on a couple of them, but it kind of speaks to the brand we've built. When we went and announced this, I went in there, said, if you want to race it, react with this emoji, and you're going to start getting assigned a truck driver role as well as your cup driver role, right? Because at that point, those were the only people that knew about it was the league guys. And immediately, probably within an hour of that announcement, I had a direct message from one of the drivers that said, if you need a sponsor, I have something for it. Now, we kind of went with the same process we did with Cup and said, hey, we'll take it. We're not really looking for a truck sponsor for season one because we're not having to pay the broadcast. The broadcast is in house to all of us. We're not getting paid to do it. So we want to just make sure it's right and done right. And that turned into he ended up finding a cup sponsorship opportunity with something else that we can definitely bring up here shortly. With something that we did a test run on last year, but this time it's got a sponsor and a payout. So, but I think that speaks to the brand and why the trucks are very likely to be a successful thing.
Yeah, the funny thing when we announced the trucks and we were going over duties to do the broadcast and who the admins were going to be, you guys touched upon Kevin wanting to do all the media stuff, and it was funny. I reached out to him and was like, "Hey, you part of the broadcast? I haven't really like heard your name like talked about like doing any like the behind the scenes stuff." He's like, "Nah, man, love the trucks, racing them." I'm like, "Okay, dude, cool, like, great. You're excited for it, and that's gonna be great." The other thing I actually want to hear a few thoughts on is from Bennett, and it's So how did you take the news that being asked to be an admin, and what are your expectations of doing it?
Is anybody's audio cutting
Yes.
out for him?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Oh.
he was C3PO
Okay.
Body.
for a minute
Yeah,
there.
Oh, my
I got
bad.
the gist of it. Is
We
what,
got
what
we
was,
got the gist.
Okay,
You're good.
okay.
Yeah. So initially it was I mean I'd have to say I'm a little surprised just because of where all of my focus has been towards getting Slurp and trying to make Phoenix work and everything. Um, so I'd say it was a little shocking. But it was awesome. Like it's cool to know that all the things that I've said in my time or how I've acted on the track or how I am as a driver, other people are seeing as professional. Considering I know dick all about racing before Justice brought me in to you know buy a rig and start racing. Right, like I started racing before I started knowing who drivers were. So um, it was nice. My biggest question was who all was going to be there to do it with us. And when Nick said it was going to be him and Grant, I think those two are probably two of the most level-headed people you'll meet in your entire fucking life. So that was cool to know that those two were going to be kind of taking on the lead roles. And then to hear that TK and Caleb, I don't think you could have picked two better guys to also join that team. Um, Expectations are pretty simple. Stay on par with what Cup Series does, and then do better. Make it where, hey, if it goes the way that I hope it does, then Monday nights will be the premier night that people want to show up and race, and we'll be recruiting from the Cup Series instead of the other way around. So that's the expectation. Obviously, we just want to create a good environment where everybody likes to show up, have fun. You're taking time out of your day to come spend time with us. Obviously, in the Cup Series, everybody enjoys being around everybody. We'd like to bring that same kind of atmosphere to the Truck Series too.
I got some breaking news for you, Bennett. That you're gonna love this. Frankie Muniz
You're
is
gonna give me $10,000 just because you
no, no.
know. Oh,
Frankie
ugh.
Muniz is going to race the Xfinity Series race at Daytona this year.
Daytona. Yeah.
Actually, next weekend.
Cody Banks kicking ass, dude.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
driving the DGM car with Natalie
Yep.
Decker.
Yeah, the 36.
Yeesh, dude.
Yeah.
35. Yeah.
And speaking on, just on Monday night and that admin team, I think the biggest thing for that was the guys that are not going to be a part of that admin team that are part of Cup admin team have
No
pretty
say.
much all they have no say in any of the ruling, number one. But it's one of those things where we've all said, if you guys need advice, if you guys want to come talk to us about something, we're available. But at the same time, you're in great hands with Nick and Grant, right? And I think that's just a reflection on, hey, we're here and we'll do whatever we need to help you if you need help. But at the end of the day, you guys were on the list because we trusted you guys, right? We trust to put the baby in your hands and let you nurture it.
Nick and Grant, just from the Cup admin side of the things, are the glue that holds us all together, because Rob, Justice, and I are like the first three that are like, out of here, get out. Like when something chaotic
Hey,
happens,
we're
three of us
striking
are
the
just,
match and throwing it in the gas,
yeah,
man.
we're throwing right in the gas can. And Nick and Grant are like, hold on, like let's look at this. And when we get into the clash, we'll and get started about some things that happened. I mean that admin chat Wednesday night
What
got pretty heated there for a
was
little
it?
bit.
Was it admin chat where Nick yelled something about motherfucker? Yeah.
No,
That was race control, wasn't it?
that was in the race. Yeah, that was in the race. No, I was playing devil's advocate because you
Yeah,
three guys were like, nah,
Dude,
put
we
the
were
hammer on this
we were over
motherfucker.
there
Like,
like throwing the rule book at it. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like this year, last year I was probably one of the world's worst admins. And this year I'm stepped up my role and been more active, even with all the craziness that's going on in my life right now,
Yeah.
trying to get moved. But this group of guys would be with everybody. I mean, it's been fantastic, and Grant and Nick are going to steer that in the right way. And I think I'd love to see you guys follow the Truck Series schedule like we follow the Cub
Mhm.
schedule on Monday nights. I think that'd be fantastic, and I look
We
forward to.
don't give a fuck.
Didn't I hope you wreck out every race in this?
You know,
race?
the funny part
hope
is
so, too.
I've always viewed it as I would love to have the truck series legitimately raise some guys up, right? Take guys that are, because we've had some guys in the Cup Series that were just non-competitive, right? I mean, they're seconds off pace. I would love to see them get in the Truck Series and be able to work their way in the Cup, right? That's how I've always viewed it. I couldn't pick a better admin team to actually make that happen if that's the way that they wanted to go with it, right? Grant, Nick, Caleb are all very much, hey, let's tell you how to get better. Now I know with Cup, we've made Cup very competitive, right? And so there's a lot less sharing of information amongst your top level teams. They don't want to share, right? Jeremy Burns doesn't want to tell me what he's doing on the road course,
Let's put
right?
it this way: Burns told Fike the wrong brake bias at
At
Chicago. That's
Chicago,
how
right?
heated it gets.
Yeah, I mean it's tight competition. You don't want to give that kind of stuff away. I'm not going to go, hey Grant, by the way, get the wheel to like a 31-degree angle in the corner, and it just your tires are perfect on about lap 25. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah, we'll run
Um,
practice with each other, but we're gonna make
we're
the
still
changes
not
we can
telling you
make and
exactly
not
what we're
tell you what we're
doing. Yeah,
doing.
yeah. But that's ideally, if that's what the Truck Series wanted to be, we've put it in great hands to do that. If they want to make it competitive, it's in great hands to do that. But yeah, I think that admin team, you'll probably have a whole lot less of people going, no F you, man, no, because like early, I mean, even earlier today, I mean, we're
It got
going back and
heated this
forth
morning.
about something, and I mean, it's 9 a.m. and I'm over here going, well, you're wrong. Like this is flat out incorrect, just to a couple of different guys, and I think everybody's kind of learned how to take that from me and Trevor and Rob, and we're gonna say that. And at the end of the day, if you can make the right point, we'll say, hey, you know what, my bad, I saw that wrong. I mean, it happens. The only person that I don't do that with is Bennett.
So, all right. So
Yeah.
now let's get into the. We can talk about this main topic. This is gonna take a few minutes here. So actually, this first episode's probably gonna be really long. So congratulations to whoever is listening to this on like a long drive. So we got you
Hey,
covered.
If you made it this far, like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.
Forgot all
Do
those
that for
things.
us.
Yeah,
Rate it.
appreciate that, Trevor. Yeah, good call. Good call. Great admin duties, man. So far, great off to a great start. Anyway, so let's talk about the Clash. Before we get into it, we do have to give a major shout out to Chad Lancaster for sponsoring that race. The Land and Sea NSB, I believe that's what it is. So if you guys don't know, Chad owns his own apparel shop essentially. He makes hat, t-shirts, almost everything, and he makes trophies too. Cause he made a really cool trophy for the winner of the Clash since he was the sponsor of that race. So shout out to Chad, great job. Just one example of the many guys that do a lot of things for this league and couldn't do without those guys. So let's talk about the Clash format. We had 3 heats. 4 drivers transferred from those 3 heats to the main. We had 2 LCQs where only the winner of the 2 LCQs would move on to the main, and that was a total of 14 drivers for the main event. The 3 heats that we had were
Wild.
interesting to say the least. The first one I think was the most calm of all 3, and then second and third went a little crazy, and then the 2 last chance qualifiers all had a last turn pass. Sorry, one had a turn 4 pass, the other one had a start finish line pass essentially,
So
which
the last few inches
crazy.
pass, yeah.
So I was in the first heat. I did not transfer from the first heat. The second heat were one of you guys in
Justice.
who's in the second one?
And
Justice.
Justice was in it,
How'd
right?
your second heat
No,
go?
I was in the third.
No.
Nick, I have an L1 at Daytona because of the second heat. So
I meant like the heat in general.
Yeah.
The heat in general.
yeah, I mean it was a little more psycho. I kind of expected that. I mean, Heat 1, when you look at who was in it, with yourself, Rob,
Burns.
Burns, it was a little wacky. Tay and Travis maybe got a hair aggressive with each other. No, Travis was in mines. Tay got maybe a little aggressive there, but
It was the most
yeah, I mean,
level-headed group of
it was the
guys that
most
were there.
level-headed group.
Yeah,
I mean, that was kind of to be expected, and then you get into Heat 2, and it's myself. We had Grant, but you have myself, Logan, Jacob, kind of all in there. Travis, Kevin, a bunch of guys that I mean, we'll take it to an extent, but at some point the fuse is lit, and it's just like you're kind of driving pretty angry. And there was one car in particular that made it pretty easy to be that way. I think he hit everything, hit the pace car, hit the haulers, hit the statue outside of the Coliseum, and name it, he hit it Wednesday night.
12 cars a minute.
The 12 car, well, the 12 car tried to make a point back to him after the race, and probably should have stopped after the first time I made my point. But, yeah, it was wild, wacky. You had guys get spun from second, from third, and ended up, like I said, I ended up getting the bumper from a car that was never going to make the corner unless he hit me for the transfer spot. So I didn't transfer through.
I feel
It
your
was-
pain.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel your pain. I didn't transfer through at all. I lost
Yeah.
every single race I was in.
Ben and I
Same,
were both
yeah.
in Heat
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
Heat,
It was
Heat 3 was
I mean,
the
it
only
was-
one that didn't finish the
No, we
entire
finished
laps.
on
Right?
time.
You
No,
oh,
he
no,
didn't. No,
No, two
Heat
didn't.
2 didn't finish.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Okay, sorry.
it was.
No,
from my
Heat 2
perspective-
finished. LCQ
No.
2 didn't finish.
So
I
whatever,
don't
whatever
remember.
the
Either
fuck
way,
it was. Anyways, from a viewer
E3.
standpoint, like when I was out of the car watching because I wasn't there, great racing. It was awesome to watch. Being in the car, if we do this next year, I'm not fucking showing up. Chad, thank you for the trophy. Grant Turner taking it home. Congrats to him. Great race. You got. I mean, you just got the break of a lifetime, and you were in the right position, had the right mentality to win the race. So, congrats to you, Chad. You're great. Love it. Fuck that race. I will not be there next year. It's terrible. I mean, you're just getting ass packed the entire time. It's a nerve wracking experience, and then to still just get eliminated was fucking like, hell yeah, man. I'm really glad I took time out of my fucking day for this.
Heat 3 was it got off to a I don't even think we made it to turn 1 before
Fuck no.
No,
I think it was
there
Ray
no-
Lane and Harrison got together
Uh-huh.
Immediately.
right off the rip, and then the next restart, Caleb and I get together, and I go to the back of the field, and then it's just,
Then it was me.
I mean,
I
then
got
you just
together with Ray. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
when
awesome.
you go to the back, you just gotta hope craziness happens in front of you, and I got to give a shout out to Parker because I locked the brakes in turn 1 and took out my own teammate. So Parker, for the 5th time, I do apologize. That one's on me. But yeah, I mean, it was just it's so easy around that track to lose the car on your own, much less when you're getting shoved every 2 seconds because you're just in second gear and just to the chip on the brakes, to the chip on the brakes, and you're just getting punted every 2 seconds. It's chaotically fun, but it is stressful as hell because there's
Yeah.
no break at all.
I would
Yeah.
rather do a fucking what's the fuck? Oh, why did I just forget
Figure
it?
8.
Figure 8. I would
Yeah.
rather do a figure 8 track in the Cup cars and see who came out on top than to do that fucking race again.
So
Yeah, it was interesting because you go into like LCQ 1, which listen, Heat 1 had a crazy battle for the transfer, like
for the
crazy
4th spot,
battle
yes, yeah,
for
yeah.
fourth.
I think all of them had a good battle for the transfer. Second
yeah,
one had a good one going until you got dumped.
I got punted. Yeah,
Parker almost made it in on the Heat 3.
yeah, Heat 1 had the best like race for the transfer.
Yeah.
LCQ 1 had the craziest battle for the win and craziest ending.
Well, second craziest ending.
I actually just pulled up that.
Second
I actually just
craziest, yeah,
pulled
I
up
guess, to
that
the
photo that it
finish.
took that they can see. I know you guys can't see it, but I have the photo up of Grant Turner crossing the line just a hair ahead of Chris Neal going backwards
yeah.
across the line. Yeah.
Yeah, and in LCQ 2, started pretty bad and ended with a pretty good little move, right? LCQ2, I'm on the pole, and
Hey, what are you supposed to do when you're starting a
you
race at the
green
initial start?
flag. Green flag is the go, not the restart zone. Apparently, I'm that rusty, and decided to go when I got in the restart zone. So immediate black flag, drop to the back of the field, and at that point was pretty much screwed off. To be quite honest, but Nick made a nice little bump and run off the corner and got himself into the feature.
Yeah, I'm honestly, hey, Chris Berger, I really wish that you were the one that get that, because I didn't want to do 75 laps in the feature. After like the first caution that came, I'm like, oh crap, here we go.
Yeah,
Oh, the feature, dude.
I
feature was
mean,
interesting. Same guy that hit everything in Heat 2 hit everything in the feature too.
so the feature was entertaining to say the least. Like Bennett and Justice, you guys were out of the car, you guys were watching it. Was the feature any more entertaining than the heats were?
Like I
How
said,
about it?
watching was fine.
Yeah,
Watching was great. This was a good time. I'd show up and watch the broadcast for sure. It just being down there in the fucking mix of things was the headache. And then
yeah,
you had the guy who was like literally like, "Oh, don't worry. I just want to keep the car on track." And that's all he did. And he ended up winning the race.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's
they,
all he did. He
That's funny.
wasn't
Yeah,
battling for the positioning. He wasn't in any of the shit. He was just in the back. And then the last lap, well, I mean, what last two corners, he went from eighth to first.
yeah. He took
yeah,
the white
That's
flag in
all you
eighth
had to do.
place and
Yep.
Won the race.
took it
checkered as
home.
the winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, on a quarter mile racetrack, but yeah,
So
it's hmm.
Rob, up at the front. So the main event. Rob, me, Burns, basically the top three all night long, running good hard. I mean, we're bumping each other, but giving each other the respect to gather it back up. Before something happens. I think Rob got shipped by Tay
couple
at one
a
point
couple times.
early on, and I got underneath him three wide, which terrible idea, but got it to sticker on the bottom, got the lead. And then you got to survive the restarts and hope the two behind you get to battling, and was able to do that. And then we get to the white flag lap on a green white checkered, and Justice has the best radio call, the caution before, and he goes, "Hey, look who's behind you. You're not going to win this, but I wish you the best of luck." Was essentially what he told me.
Said hug the
And
wall, hug the inside wall,
Yeah,
because if he
As
punch you,
soon
you can at least defend.
as soon as he said that Grant Thorpe was an amateur, goes, "Bye, Trevor," and that's
yeah,
essentially what happened.
and we get a great launch. We clear second and third, which is Burns and the aforementioned driver that we're not going to name.
It was Romney.
Okay, well, yeah, it was Logan.
Ramoni,
Uh,
actually.
Yeah.
and get the white flag going to one, and you know there's days where you just get used and thrown away like a dirty sock. And I mean, I they say eight tires are better than four, and that sure as hell was the case Wednesday night, because I got shipped off.
It actually was not, because the guy who finished the race in first only used four tires that
This
He
is
entire
true.
last lap.
So
Yeah.
I get punted out of the way. Romney ends up wrecking with Burns. Then Berube and Grant Thorpe get through, and I somehow gather it and am in third. We go into three. Grant and Berube wreck, which then takes me out. And then Grant Turner, just out of nowhere, scoots on by, wins the race. And, Grant Turner, he's one of those guys that a lot of us in the admin group don't know a lot about. Um, he seems like a really nice guy. Um, and
He's very
I mean,
interactive.
yes, he's very interactive. He shows up for everything, and I don't think he's on a full-time team, but you know, w- what a win for him. I mean, credit to him. I mean, he survived, found a way to win, and at the end of the day, a win's a win. He gets a trophy. He gets to claim that he's a race winner. And
Gets to go in the record book.
You
yeah,
ever you ever see one of those it's not a crossword puzzle, but it's like one of those little mazes they have to draw from the start to the end, and you have to go through all like the lines to find the path to
A
the
maze?
finish. Yeah,
the maze.
a
Just
maze.
a maze?
Okay, whatever. A maze. I thought
Mhm.
may have been called something different. Anyway, that was essentially Grant's last lap. He weaved and dodged every single person and did not get touched at all. If we could go back and watch the video of that, which we're not going to, but anyone listening and you didn't see it already, go to V Speed on YouTube and just go to the last lap of the main feature. It is literally cars all over the place on the track, and Grant is just dodging everything, and he came out on top. And kudos to
Yeah, I
him.
mean, and the crazy part is right because he had to have luck involved. You know, that's uh, Romney ends up accumulating his second L1 penalty after the wreck because he's parked and just pulls back into traffic. You know, and it's something that the admin team kicked back and forth. But it's like we penalized Caleb for the same thing at Sonoma last year. Um, you know, he wouldn't have gotten an L1 for punting Trevor. I mean, he punted me the exact same way in Heat 2. Like, same pace. It would
I
be
mean, that's how
copy
Nick
and
won his
paste.
heat or his LCQ.
Well, Nick
Right.
did
It
it with a
wasn't that
little bit more
bad.
grace.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
there's grace, and then there's just pulling off the move. And I mean, Romney
Yeah.
was this close to pulling off the move.
No, I mean,
Right.
look, I am not. I was mad. I was more mad Thursday morning than I was Wednesday night. But at the end of the day, it's the Clash. We're not. It's not like we were racing for a championship and I got dumped for the championship. At the end of the day, it's an exhibition race for fun. It is what it is. Would I have liked to win? Yeah. Do I really care? No. Uh, Especially personally for me, with how my season ended last season on a absolute free fall off a mountain, I was just happy to be up front and have speed. I struggled at Martinsville and didn't finish, and I
Wrecked at Homestead.
wrecked at the Roval, wrecked at Homestead, didn't finish Martinsville, and was the worst driver on the face of the earth at Phoenix.
I mean, you jumped off Mount Everest into the Mariana Trench, dude.
Yeah,
Like that's the
no parachute
craziest free
with like
fall I've ever seen.
100, with like 1,000 pounds of weight around me, and so I was just happy to have speed. But for Grant Turner, you look back at his heat race, he stayed in the back. The LCQ one, I mean, he was in like 3 wrecks in the LCQ one, and then all of a sudden at the end of the race, he crosses the line like 3 inches ahead of everybody to make it into the race, and does the same thing in
Man,
the main.
It's
And
just one of those things where at Daytona he's using his fast repair on lap 7 and he's out of the race on lap 10 because you used all your luck in LA. I mean, I don't know
think
how else to say it.
Justice, you said earlier that he wins a race, right? Or who's
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I said he makes the playoffs. Whether that's points or the race, winning is his most likely option. Go
I
win a super
think
speedway, but
he sneakily has speed. He's one of those guys that you don't talk about in a broadcast or throughout a race, and you just look up and top 15, top 10, top 5. I'm right there with you. I think he might find a way to win a race, especially these super speedway races where we've seen anything can happen. I wouldn't count him out. And again, one of those guys that me personally, I don't know much about him. I haven't had much interaction with him, but super happy for the guy. And I think I heard from other guys he showed a lot of emotion for getting that win, and you know, good for him. Good for him. Good way to start his season out.
yeah, I think you talk about the whole being mad on Thursday morning thing, and I go back to what I said, excuse me, earlier, and that is why. I mean, I understand wanting to get in the feature, wanting to maybe try to win the dang thing, but I think the way that the bumps happen, I think that that's where Chris Berger looks at Nick and goes, "Hey, you know what? That's a pretty clean one. I just lost the car, right?" Um, versus how Trevor and I maybe look at what was done to us by Logan and go, "Why would you burn that, right? Why would you cash a check now like that? Because we go to New Hampshire, we go to Martinsville, we go to Bristol, we go to Dover, some of these places where bumper is definitely in play. The memory goes back to what happened at the Coliseum, and it's the same thing that Joey tried to tell Ty Gibbs is why do you burn up your chance for an exhibition win?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, there were some drivers last season that I held some grudges with and never retaliated. I don't know if I'll um do the same. Um I honestly don't expect to be around him much throughout the course of the season, so I don't expect it to be a problem, but you never know, and we'll see what happens once we
Cross
get
that
going.
bridge when we get there.
Yeah. Next week's the this coming Wednesday we have the duels to get ready for our 500, and we touched on it at the beginning of the podcast that drivers some drivers might not even make it, and he might be one of those guys that doesn't make it into the 500 or the not technically the 500 but into Daytona because of the way the duels work out.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the duels, I know, like you said, we touched upon it pretty early here, but so for the duels, what we're doing is the top 25 in points to last year are automatically locked into the 500, say 500 to 250. We do the same thing that NASCAR does in IRL. First, we do obviously regular qualifying before the duels on Wednesday. The 1 and 2 drivers that will be starting on the front row are locked in on the front row, regardless of how they finish in the duels. If they were in the top 25 or not in the top 25, those are the only two guys that are locked in where they're starting. Um, the other thing is that I think we agreed on, which I'm going to say this, and it might change it a little bit. Don't really know because we haven't really announced it yet. But we're looking towards the outside of the top 25 of those guys. The top 5 in qualifying are locked into the race, so that essentially makes 30 guys, and we're doing a 40 car field, so that gives 10 extra spots. And we're gonna make it even for each duel, so percentage wise. So just for clarification reasons and the easy way to say this, it'll be the top 5 guys in duel 2 outside the top 25 to be in the race, and then the top 5 guys in duel number 2 to make the race. Essentially, say hypothetically, if we have uh I don't know, like 10 guys in one duel that are outside the top 25, and then 5 guys in duel number 2 that are outside the top 25. We're gonna make it even, kind of, sorta. So it's not like, hey,
It's like 2/3 of them from the duel that has 10, and a
correct.
third
So
from the
we
other
may give
duel.
an extra spot to duel that has the more
Yeah.
guys and take away a spot from another duel just to make it even, because it's kind of like, okay, cool, I got lucky and I'm gonna make it because there's only 4 of us that are in this duel, whereas there's 12 in the other one, right? So, I
It's-
know that it seems like confusing, but we're gonna put that in writing so everyone understands it a little bit better. So obviously it'll be released after us recording this, so
yeah,
to make it not as confusing for everybody.
it's going to be entertaining. Next week's podcast, which I think are going to happen on Fridays now because y'all are running the Thursday league.
Correct,
Uh,
yeah.
next Friday's podcast, we'll have the field set for the 250, and we'll get into predictions for who we think's going to win, all that good stuff. Back to kind of the normal. I know this podcast is
It'll also
long,
be
but
nice because we'll
we
know
start having
the
drivers
no.
back.
Let's say we'll know the duel, but we won't know the IRL duel winners. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, well,
Yeah, we will.
they run
Yeah,
the duels on Thursday.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah. So we'll
yeah.
know the IRL duel. We'll
Yeah,
know the
so
lineup for the actual 500s. We'll be able to
Yes,
get the
yeah.
IRL predictions too.
we'll be back to normal next week. Just a long podcast tonight to get the season started. Back at it.
No, I mean, it's great to be back, boys.
It
I
is.
know, obviously everyone, you can see a new thing behind me. This is gonna be different. I'm getting a new graphic put behind me so we can more get the podcast out there and get more media stuff going. Obviously you can see Trevor has kind of sort of a new little setup over there with a juice
I'm gonna have
box.
a
It looks like with a penguin on
all
top of
new.
it.
That
The
setup's going to look
Penguin's a dog
different
court. Yeah,
multiple
this
times.
setup's gonna
Yeah.
change in about next week. The jukebox probably won't be here. The rig will still be here, but after that, it'll probably be in the new house.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be in there before. Oh God, it'll be before Daytona because Daytona's the 22nd.
IRL or our Daytona?
Our
Daytona.
Daytona's the
Okay.
21st.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the plan is to be everything goes according to plan, be in the new house on the 19th or the 20th. So we'll see what happens.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. So as everyone can see or hear, depending on how you're watching or listening to this, we've made a lot of improvements and adjustments throughout the off season. A lot of big things are coming to this league since we are growing and we're expanding out to different opportunities, which is great. And those opportunities will get more in depth as we go through the season, and we'll talk about it more here on the podcast. So there'll be a lot more topics. We'll have a lot more guests because we do have a bunch of other guys here in the league that you guys have to meet and see what they're all about. Get to know them a little bit. I know everyone really knows us four pretty well, so that's another thing we're
Parker,
gonna do.
Parker.
Yeah, we
Parker,
now have
we
Parker
can
of
get
age.
Parker
So.
Johnson, who is now 18 years old. He's a man. He can officially come on the podcast without you know uh,
Without
implications,
violating
any
YouTube's terms of
YouTube terms.
service.
Yeah. So shout out to YouTube if you guys hear that. He is 18 now. We can show his birth certificate if he comes on. He is gonna look pretty young. But before we head out of here, anybody have any closing questions, topics, concerns? Ben, I know it looks like you're looking up some stuff. You got anything on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go ahead and pick my my couple winners for the duels.
Ooh.
So
Hey,
okay, so we
we
can
can do
we
that.
can do that. So it's gonna be hard to pick two guys just because we don't know obviously where everyone's gonna line up. But if you guys want to pick two, because we have 50
So I
guys we
was
can
gonna
choose from. So
so I was gonna do who, who I think could set the poll,
okay,
and then one of the winners.
okay, yeah,
So
yeah, we can do
it
that.
gives you a 50-50 in all things because you could go for each duel, whatever.
Okay,
I am going to go first because it was my idea, and I don't want you guys taking my drivers. And because I think one driver in particular, when we talk about setting a pole lap, is going to be on everybody's mind. So I'm going to take him off the board quick. I'm going to say that Tay McDonald locks himself in with a
Son of a
qualifying
bitch.
lap.
I think everybody
Number
was
one.
thinking him for the
Exactly.
poll.
Dude, I don't know, like the progression from where he was beginning of last season to just the end of last season, and then now you're looking at even at LA, he had hella speed. Every time we go somewhere, I feel like dude qualifies top three, and then just something will happen. He'll trip over his own feet, get in a bad situation. And I think somebody called that out. Tay was going to have multiple wins this year. At the beginning. Yeah. So I 100% agree with that. As far as winners go, I think that one of the winners is going to be one of these rookies. I don't have a driver specifically in mind, so I'm just going to name one. The first one that I come to, and I'm going to go with Kyle Diaz.
Kyle
Okay,
That's fair.
Diaz.
I'm
So I
calling
do.
out Kyle Diaz.
I do want to say this about Tay real quick because I love the boldness of the prediction. I'm challenging Tay because I know Tay's going to listen to this. Get over the freaking hump. Just put the car where it needs to go and keep it off of somebody else's bumper, and you're going to win multiple. But I'm going to go ahead and take my pole sitter. I'm going to go way out on a limb here.
I'm going next, Trevor, just so you know.
I'm going to go way out on a limb here. I'm going to take a guy that he's pretty highly regarded among some of the guys we got from C2C because I guess they all knew him from then. That's going to be my teammate, Daniel Holloway. Seems to be pretty good on those tracks. I know Nick Bennett can speak to that a little bit because we ran with those guys at Talladega last season in the playoffs. Daniel and I, as we didn't really have anybody else to work with, and the performance guys were kind enough to accept us in. And then a winner to one of the duels or to either of the duels. Oh, give me Kevin Orlando Jr.
Okay.
All right.
He'll-
Well, we'll see if Kevin
He'll win the one.
can
He'll
keep
win
all
the
four
one that doesn't
tires on
matter.
the track on the last lap. But
And not
Not
clear his own black flag.
Yeah. So my pole sitter that was gonna be my number 2 if Tay was already taken, so he is, is going to be Travis Gilbert, his teammate. For some reason, those guys, I thought I was really good at setting fast qualifying laps at super speedways, and I was for a while until these two guys figured it out some way or know an extra trick that we don't. But we're coming for you guys, just so you guys know. So we're picking you, but hope you don't get it. As for my winner, though, I'm gonna go with a guy that he proved that he's a really good pusher, but he proved last season how good he is at a blocker. And I'm gonna go with James Loveland to win one of the duels.
Ooh.
All right. Short track man becomes a super speedway,
speedway
expert
guy.
overnight, huh? All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Get him, Dad.
Uh,
Love to see it.
I'm gonna go with for my
Wait,
pole sitter. I'm gonna go with Caleb. I think
okay.
he can. I think he can qualify pretty well. And then for my race winner, I'm gonna go Schaefer, my old teammate.
Okay.
He's
Can I-
been up there the last couple of times that we've run at Daytona. He and Parker work really well together. I think Schaefer can get it done. I think he can get it done and get a win.
I'm gonna
Sounds
give
like
two
a-
honorable. I'm gonna give 2 honorable mentions because I really thought these guys would be taken in one of the picks. For pole sitter, I think Trevor Keith is going to be a guy that you'll see up in the top 5. Hopefully,
I hope
setting
so
pole.
because he needs to show me how to do some super speedway
Yeah,
qualifying.
and then for a winner too, I also we got to look at Matty Robinson, fucking super speedway guy. I think he could pull through and get a win too. And hey, mark my words, he will get his first win this year.
Yeah, all
Maddie-
those crash to crash guys. I mean, they did so much super speedway racing. They're all pretty good at it.
I know Manny's gonna watch this. He's gonna listen to this. He's gonna comment on our performance Discord about what I'm about to say. But Manny, get the F out of your own head because you can do it. You have the
Dude.
speed. It's like the same thing with Tay. I'm not bashing you guys because you guys are fast. You guys can
Yep.
do it. But when it comes the time to like lock it in, you guys are locked in but overthink things. If you guys just keep that same mentality that you did for the first 75% of that race, there's no shot no other guy can beat you on that day that you were on it. So that's
Yeah, I can verify that the hardest wins the first one, and for me it was the second one. First one that I got at Nashville in season 1 was just a yellow flag field race, and I set the fast time in the friggin' beginning, and that's how I got there. But that second win, the one at the Daytona Road Course, really was the one that kind of pushed me over the hump because I had every chance to make a mistake as
And
the
didn't
best
do
car
it.
on track and didn't do it, right? And that's all we see from the two guys you're talking about, right? Tay at Iowa gets unlucky a little bit on the pit strategy with the tire situation, but he's had some other opportunities. I think Kansas, he was checked out at one point.
New Hampshire.
I
New
feel like
Hampshire,
he always has an opportunity.
yeah, and just kind of makes his own mistake and gets himself back there. So I think once you're there, this is the mindset you got to have. Once you're there, keep running your laps. I don't care who comes up and puts pressure on you. You got to the lead for a reason. Let them come up, burn themselves up, and you're going to get back by them, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, sorry. No, you were
I
talking.
also want to throw out a bold prediction. One last one.
We'll see if it's bold or not.
Yeah, well, stay tuned.
Dude,
This year, me and Trevor Keith will not wreck each other at Darlington.
Okay. Oh
I think that
god.
Prediction?
tops the prediction chart, but
Yeah,
I
it's
have
right
high
up
hopes
there.
for both of us.
And Devin Hudgens, I'm going to make a real bold prediction of he's not going to ram up in front of me at Darlington again either.
And no, so uh, again, Maddie and Tay, this is not where this is. We have all the faith in the world that you guys can get your first win. And well, sorry, so Tay technically already has a quote unquote win,
He
he
technically got the
does.
win.
technically.
He doesn't. No, all he
So
got was the playoff eligibility. He
cor-
didn't get the win for that.
okay, yeah, correct. So he doesn't get that's right. He doesn't have the stat for it, but playoff wise, he was credited for that
As
locked
if
in.
he was the winner.
Correct,
Yep.
yeah. So all the faith in the world in you two, and I know we have a bunch of other guys that are kind of sort of in that same plateau area, but those are the two main guys that are like at the top that are there. There's a bunch of guys underneath them that are fast, and can't name all you guys because we're thinking about all of you. Don't worry. Um, almost anybody in this league can get their first win, and uh, Grant Turner proved that on Wednesday that it you can do it. It doesn't. It's not that. It's hard, yes, but you can once you get over that hump and you'll be at the front for a while. So yeah. So I think this was a first great podcast to talk about the off season and many other things. I know there's a lot of other things that we want to talk about. We just can't due to time restrictions. So without further ado, is that it from you three?
Yeah, I don't got anything else.
All right,
Yep.
perfect. So, as always, ladies and gents, this is the RR After Dark. This is the official podcast of the Racing Revolution uh, League. Technically, now
You
we're
Racing
what?
Revolution? You Racing Revolution?
Did I say you Racing
I
Revolution?
think you just said you Racing.
Oh,
I Racing.
iRacing.
I got you.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
our main sponsor can't do without our sponsors. Obviously, Chapman Environmental Services that has been the main sponsor of our league for the past 3 seasons. So thank you to them. Without them, we can't do all the nice things we do on Wednesday night. I have it pulled up because I knew I was gonna get the new name wrong. It's now Ultimate Exterior Lighting. They used to be Ultimate Siding and Gutters. Now it's oh my God, I'm gonna say it wrong again. Ultimate Exterior Lighting. They are also been with us for 3 seasons, so thank you to them. Butt Kicker, who is again giving out a butt kicker for the winner of the league for the championship. And then we do have a brand new sponsor for this league, is now All About Bugs. So thank you to them for coming on as for this season. And if you guys want to keep listening to us, you guys want to watch us wherever you get your podcast, or if you want to see our faces because we're so beautiful, take a picture of me, put me on the wall. We're here on YouTube. This will go live, unfortunately, no longer on Fridays, so it'll be more like Saturday mornings when this goes live. But YouTube, be at Racing Revolution. All the links will be on Facebook as well. Facebook, Racing Revolution, and then you can find this podcast where you listen to all your podcasts, whether it be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also, my God, Buzzsprout, I think it's called. That's where we do it. But anyway,
Sprout?
what?
What was
Don't
Buzzsprout?
just keep going.
Just
keep
keep
going. You're
going,
gonna
man.
ruin a perfectly or great outro, dude. Just keep going.
My bad, my bad.
Buzzsprout is where we post all the podcasts and that where it gets branched out to everything else. But thank you to my 3 compadres, Justice, Michael Bennett, and Trevor Earhart. Sorry, it's Justice Murphy. If anyone cares about his last name, did not say
God,
that.
you're just fucking chopping this thing up, dude. Just
I like to
Golly,
talk, but
just sign off.
the
Kevin to
Come on,
people
get
man.
Kevin to
missed
edit
me.
one from
The
last year, dude.
people missed the
Yeah, holy
entertainment
shit.
of us. But anyway, yes, we will be doing this on a weekly basis, and so tune into next week. We might have a special guest, we might not. Who knows? Also, good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're listening to us. We are Racing Revolution, and this is RR After Dark.